Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the podcast you come to when you're finally ready to take fantasy hockey seriously. My name is Nate Niblake. I'm the creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. And in this show right here, Blake and I are going to tell you how to win in Week 14 of the fantasy season. Let's get it. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend. It's my most heated rival, Blake Creamer. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Oh, buddy, are we heated rivals? Because that's kind of making me feel funny, all right, in a good way. Okay?
I didn't think you'd be mad about it.
No way, man. Well, yeah, I'm here for that. It's good to see you, man. It's been a weird year. Not weird. It's been good, but the fact that we aren't on pods all the time together, it's starting to wear on me a little bit because I can do a podcast myself. That's no problem, but it's better together. We say this all the time, but yeah, I'm always happy to do this with you, man. Hopefully your weeks are going good. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all those listeners out there. I haven't talked to you since New Year's, so we appreciate you. We see you out here in these fantasy streets, but how are you doing, Nathaniel?
I'm doing all right. I've been sick for closing in on 3 weeks at this point. A couple different things. I've had a cough that's stuck around for, I think, 2+ weeks at this point, and so that's been super fun. I tried to play hockey tonight. Did not go well. Yeah, we got pumped 4-1.
Oh, geez. Team player.
On the plus side, winning all my matchups currently. I'm sure now that I've said that out loud, they will all flip miraculously and I'll lose them all. But, that's how it goes. So at this moment, I'm feeling not too bad. And I am glad to be back with you here in the new year. I think, Blake, though, we should give the people what they want. And you know what the people want. They want the Newsies.
Newsies! Do people want the Newsies? I don't know, but we're giving them to you anyway. That's how we do here at A&G. We don't care what you want, all right? We do what we want. As evidenced by many podcasts that I've done. I'm sorry about that, folks. Let's get into the news here. Some interesting stuff. The professor, Mike Matheson, didn't end up playing here or on Thursday there after a headshot from the Rat. Brad Marchand, gross headshot, actually. I mean, I don't think it's you look at the guy, right? He probably deserved a suspension for that. Doesn't need to be huge, but I don't know. He's out there, Perry Ellis model. I mean, geez, he's living his best life, Brad Marchand. Meanwhile, the professor, he's down and out. So shout out to the professor. Hopefully he gets back in the lineup here for Montreal. I still think he's a great asset for fantasy as like a, fourth or fifth defenseman on your squad, just for the minutes alone. Over to New York Islanders. We got Bo Horvat. He's going to see a doctor on Friday. Look for updates here on Saturday. Sounds like, it's not as bad as once feared. Matt Barzal was quoted saying he's going to be back. It's not a big deal, right? So Bo Horvat will be back hopefully soon here this upcoming week. Over to Columbus, we got ZW. Zach Werenski says that he is going to return on Saturday. That's excellent news. Took a wrist shot off the ankle there before Christmas. That was scary to see for Werenski owners. Missed 4 games. Sounds like he's going to be back, hopefully for both games, the back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. So that's good stuff. Sticking with Columbus, Sean Monahan is likely out. He's day-to-day until further notice. Over to the Canucks. We got to talk about the Canucks, Nate. I'm sorry. Marco Rossi and Connor Garland going to miss a week with their respective injuries, as per Adam Foote. I don't know what to make of this team here in Vancouver. It's they're trying their best. You can clearly see that, but the talent level is really rough. The play style is even rougher to watch. And, the great goaltending they've received from Lankinen and Demko, that's what their wins sort of hinge on here. So if they don't get that, they're kind of out of commish. So that, I don't know. I don't think Marco Rossi or Connor Garland are even rosterable players at this point. they're like streamers. So there you go. Spent way too long talking about that. Matthew Tkachuk, however, did you see any of the outdoor game here today, Nate, and what him and Barkov were wearing when they were out there?
No, I haven't caught any of the coverage, actually. Yeah, I was playing my own game, my own classic.
Like, we got a podcast to run here, buddy. You get your head on straight and you do it now. All right. Selfish. They were wearing like Miami Vice white tuxes. Like him and Barkov came out
Nice.
and one of the intermissions and like raising the Stanley Cup. Like this guy is an ultimate dingus and such a beauty. So I think the hockey league, go sports. The NHL is better when Matthew Tkachuk is healthy and playing in it. He's just a fun guy. So yeah, he's skating in a non-contact jersey, but he said tonight that he's going to be back very, very soon. That's what he said. So I don't know. Giggity. That's what he said. That's not doesn't work. Over to back to the Islanders. Ilya Sorokin's getting closer for the Isles. We got mid-save Dave Riddick. He's getting buku starts out there, so that's fine. I think he's rosterable, although he just got pumped by the Utah Mammoth the other night. That was probably painful. Big Willie Styles, Willie Nylander, he's doubtful. This is a report from Craig Berube. He's doubtful to practice even. So I'm not sure. I didn't check and see if he actually did make practice here, but his status for the next game is obviously uncertain. So you got to check that. It was nice to see the Leafs get off the schneid. What did you see from the Leafs there in that last game that sort of allowed them to kind of get to biz? It looked like Matthews was a little bit unlocked there.
Yeah, honestly, I think there must have been some like come to Jesus moment between Berube and the players where like they just said, enough with this. We gotta like have a chance to generate some offense and play with some time in the offensive zone. And Berube finally loosened the reins just a little bit. Like they're not going to be great defensively. You're missing two of your top four defensemen. You have been for most of the year. You can't play the lockdown defensive style that Berube wants to play without the players to do it. And so do it you actually have, and you have some pretty elite goal scoring talent on the
Yeah.
team, especially with Matthews, obviously. And Matthews especially looks like he's feeling it right now. He was on my, I did the buy low section for the patrons there earlier in the week, and he was kind of on top of that list for me as it looked like he was coming back. And that window to buy low is probably already closed, but it's definitely good to see for Leafs fans, but also for his managers who have been severely hurt until now.
Yeah, rough stuff, man. Like he was on a 75-point pace at one point, and yeah, that's a 90-plus point player. Should be for sure with 45-plus goals. That's what he should be. So we'll see if he can get back to biz. But yes, yet another advantage and benefit of being an Apples and Ginos patron here, folks. You get to talk with the legend NGN right here. All right, giving you the goods. Anyways, let's move on. Talk about Vegas. Vegas, baby. Jack Eichel returned. That was really good to see. Played 1934 Friday night. That was excellent against St. Louis. He got 3 shots, 2 hits, 2 blocks. Nice performance, right? Didn't seem to be hindered in any way. You like to see the 19-plus minutes. So I think it's full steam ahead there. Vegas needs some big time. They're finding ways to lose, it seems like, in these games. So obviously you need a guy like Jack Eichel back in the mix here and getting the biz. So nice to see him back. Over to Columbus, we got, or not Columbus. Oh, yeah, it is Columbus. Yeah, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Columbus Blue Jackets made a trade. Yegor Chinakhov gets traded there. I don't know. I'm interested to hear your take. It looks like he's going to be line 2, power play 2, or line 3, power play 2 there in Pittsburgh. Are you interested at all in this player? Like, obviously, he was severely hindered in Columbus with the deployment. But this is a guy that we have been excited about in the past to some degree as a potential fantasy asset.
Yeah, I think there's some potential there, and it's possible we'll get it in Pittsburgh. I think the way that we get it is Pittsburgh's season does kind of go downhill, and they do start to unload guys like Rust and/or Raquel and/or Carlson.
Yep.
And suddenly you're looking at Chinakhov, line 1 with Crosby, power play 1 maybe, and that's the way that it comes about. I don't think from his current position in the lineup that you're really looking at him for anything too crazy, but I can definitely see a path where we could be excited about Chinakhov in this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a player to watch. Put him on your watch list and see what happens there. If he can find his way on a power play 1 in Pittsburgh, that's still a really good unit. So, yeah, keep your eye on the player. It's a guy that can potentially do stuff for you. Buffalo, Alex Lyon is going to miss a bit of time as per Lindy Ruff there. So Colton Ellis has been recalled. I think UPL is a strong ad at this point with the way that Buffalo's playing. 10 wins in a row. Buffalo, what the hell? I mean, we're focused on fantasy so much here that sometimes I lose the plot on what's actually happening in the league in terms of like wins and losses and how teams are doing. And when I check in and see Buffalo's won 10 in a row, it's like, Okay, yeah. So, and I think UPL is going to be the 1A there with Colton Ellis. So, yeah, he's had a couple strong outings in the last couple games here. So, really strong ad. We'll probably talk about him later. Are the Sabres a wagon, Nate?
Certified wagon, Buffalo
Bang!
Sabres.
Oh hell yeah! Love to hear this. That's one of my favorite logos out there. Like that the blue away jersey with the yellow. I love that, man. I gotta get me one of those. Anyways, let's move over to Carolina. Nothing could be finer. We got Pyotr Kochetkov. He's out for the season. Rough news there. Canes are gonna roll with Bussy and Freddie Anderson, Mr. Anderson. So yeah, that's I didn't mind it because I think Bussy has been really strong, but then he got pumped last game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this guy's a young kid. We got to remember that. And, I think a lot of these young guys, they play well when they're not under the direct spotlight, and now he's going to be the guy. They don't want to go to Freddie Anderson. I think they're going to give Bussy the run, at least to start. And it wasn't a good start for him. So hopefully he gets back on track here next game. It's not going to be easy. I think they're up against Colorado. So yeah, it could be a rough game for Bussy there, but I do think that that's a guy that should be rostered at this point. With tonight's games here, Friday night, we're recording Friday night. Seth Jones left the game after blocking a shot. Looked like he took one in the collarbone there. So yeah, upper body injury for now. Paul Maurice said it's not as terrible as he thought. That's what he said post game. So that seems good to me. That says to me he might even be good for Sunday. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. Bigger news, though, with the Colorado Avalanche, Mackenzie Blackwood was just placed on IR with a lower body injury, and he's not going to play for the Avs 3-game road trip coming up here. And then he's going to be reevaluated after that. I hate to see that. When they don't just say, yeah, he'll miss 3 games, then he should be good to go. It's like, he'll miss 3 games, then we're going to reevaluate him. It's like, that says to me, like, this could be something a little bit more significant. So, I don't know. Stinks for Blackwood owners. Do you have Blackwood anywhere, Nate? And are you upset about this?
I don't have Blackwood anywhere. I went too early for most of my most of my goalie drafting this year, so didn't end up with Blackwood anywhere. But yeah, all the best to him. I think he has the most potential to be like a lights out option. Wedgwood has obviously had a good year so far, especially early on. But yeah, hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. But I agree, the wording on that, the reevaluation after a while, that wording really scares me.
That's showing no good. JT Miller with the New York Rangers sounds like he's getting close. As per Mike Sullivan, he's got that upper body injury, so that's good news for the Rangers. Although they're actually playing pretty good without him. I don't know. Is there any correlation here? I don't know. Shout out to JT Miller. And lastly, back to Carolina. Shane Gostisbehere sounds like he is possibly going to be ready for Saturday. So he's missed 3 games this week. In the 5-game Carolina week, what are you doing? It sucks. I have him on a couple squads, and I haven't received the benefit of Ghost, but that's fine. Nate, that's it for the Newsies. Let's attack that schedule, son.
All right, let's attack that schedule. Monday, we got 5 games. Tuesday, we've got 10 games. Wednesday, another 5 games. Thursday, 12 games. Friday, 3 games. Saturday, 14 games. And Sunday, 5 games again. Total, that gives us 54 games played on the week, so that's a pretty normal week, a little bit on the heavier side. There are no teams that have a Sunday, Monday back-to-back, so you're not going to be able to do a last-second stream on Sunday here and then get the Monday off night. Nobody's doing that for you. There are a couple teams that have a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the week. That's going to be Anaheim and Seattle, with that Tuesday being only 10 games. Pretty decent chance you can fit somebody in there. Get a head start on your week that way. There are 5 teams with Monday, Wednesday off nights: Calgary, LA, Ottawa, Utah, and Washington. Another 5 teams with Wednesday, Friday off nights: Chicago, LA, St. Louis, Utah, Washington. And 3 teams there with Friday, Sunday off nights to avoid that super heavy 14-game Saturday. That's going to be Utah, Winnipeg, and Washington. As you might have gathered, Utah and Washington have a pretty good schedule this week. It looks like this if you're watching on YouTube, courtesy of Frozen Tools. Great little schedule grid for you there. Yeah, Utah, Washington, LA has a nice schedule this week with 3 off nights, 4 games played, and it finishes by Saturday, so you still have room to make some moves at the end of the week. nice schedules all around. We've got actually, yeah, I would say a pretty good schedule this week. I will say it is kind of like top heavy. Like
Mhm.
the teams to stream from are pretty clear, and then it falls off a little bit after that. And some of the other teams, like the two off night teams, it's a little bit harder to figure out when you're going to use them. Like you got some of these Wednesday, Friday things, or you got them split up and beginning of the week, end of the week kind of stuff. And so some of the other teams a little bit harder to stream from this week. You got anything to add here, Blake?
No, just that. I mean, Winnipeg, I think, is kind of that back half team there with that Friday Sunday. So if you wanted to do something like a Monday Wednesday team, then you could roll into Winnipeg in the back. I think that's kind of a nice strategy if you're looking at changing streamers. But yeah, we got to attack those off nights, I think.
Absolutely. Let's move along. Blake, we got to lower some expectations.
Oh, hell yes. Let's lower those expectations, son. That's what we do. That's what I do specifically on this pod. I lower them and then Nate raises them, right? We always keep you guessing. Okay. That's what we try and do. I show you how bad it can be, and then Nate brings it back up and we get the biz, right? Total buffoon right here. Okay. Lowered expectations. Let's talk about the worst teams to stream, potential drops, right? And there is a clear winner, quote unquote winner. Tampa Bay Lightning, they only play 2 games this upcoming week, the 10-game Tuesday and the 14-game Saturday. So any of your streamers on Tampa, they're gone, right? We're talking, definitely JJ Moser, definitely Bjorkstrand, definitely Goncalves. What are you doing with Anthony Cirelli?
Sorelli is a tough one. He's got 5 points in his last five. 52nd shots per 60, 31st individual expected goals for per 60, ninth in individual scoring chances for per 60, 55th on ice expected goals for per 60, playing with Gensel and Hagel. Pretty nice little second line they got going there at the moment. So yeah, it is not as cut and dried as you might think with such a bad schedule. They play Tuesday and Saturday is the really tough part here. Like if it was Tuesday, Thursday, then you could probably get him in at least on the Tuesday and then see how things go for Saturday before making him a potential drop later in the week. But it being a Tuesday, Saturday, like maybe you hold for the Tuesday and then try to figure it out after that point if he still has a good game on the Tuesday, maybe he has a bad game, maybe they change up the lines and you're not feeling as good. But yeah, Cirelli is a tough one for sure. He's playing well, but the schedule kind of dictates to me that you probably should drop him in most formats.
Yeah. It depends where you are in your standings as well, right? If you're like
Sure.
clear front first place, like, yeah, I'd like to hold on to Sorelli, right? And see what happens. Like he's putting up some good numbers under the hood, as he said. So anyways, Tampa, I think is fairly cut and dry besides Sorelli. How about Darren Radish this year? What a freaking gem. What a gem this man is. I did not expect that because I remember Radish played some power play one last year with Hedman out. They cycled him through there and it wasn't like this. But
Yeah.
the guy has really found another level this year, hasn't he?
Absolutely, he has. Yeah, the only place I've got Radish is the league where I had Hedman, so it's kind
Nice.
of just replacing the production I was expecting, I guess. But I'm not mad at it, that's for sure.
No, it's weirdly close, and it shouldn't be. What the hell? Anyways, let's move on to the next team. We got 9 teams that play 3 games all on the busy nights, right? So 3 games, 0 off nights. And we're going to play a little game, Nathan, called Would You Drop? All right. So I'm going to go through a couple players that I think are on the bubble, and I want you to tell me if you're going to drop them or not. All right. Drop it like it's lukewarm. Here we
Let's
go.
do it.
All right. So with Buffalo, I'm talking about, and I better know the answer to this one, Josh Norris, Josh Doan, and Zach Benson. What are you doing with those players?
I think I'm just still hanging on to the Joshes there. Norris's ice time has dropped, and his underlyings have actually not been that great all year long, his shot numbers in particular. And so I am a little bit more worried about Norris than I have been in the past, but at this point, still power play one, still doing that stuff, still into it for the moment. Josh Doan, his underlings have been terrific all year.
Yeah.
He's only got a couple points in his last five, but he seems to be pretty locked in, playing some just like I know it's only 15 minutes, but like the minutes he is playing, he's playing on the top power play. He's playing with Tage Thompson. Like those are just super valuable minutes that he is playing. So hanging on to Dome there. Benson is on the top power play, but he's playing on a line with Ryan McLeod and Jack Quinn last time we saw them. And that's just like, it's fine, but it doesn't move the needle for me. He's definitely a guy I think you can drop this week if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. I like your take on Doan there. I think that's an interesting hold, just because, yeah, he's a good offensive player. He's fun to watch too. I watched a couple Buffalo games here in the last week, and he's really noticeable out there. So yeah, he has the puck a lot. He's very noticeable. So I think I'm with you there. Dropping the Butler. Oh God, that's very hurtful. But yeah, makes some sense. All right, let's move on to Carolina. Nothing could be finer. So nice. I'm doing it twice. Okay. And we're talking about Alexander Nikishin, Nikolai Ehlers, question mark, and Jackson Blake. Where is your cutoff line? Who you keeping? Who you dropping?
I think Blake is a pretty clear drop unless he does something insane over the last couple games of this week. Nikishin is a pretty interesting one. The last four games: 24 minutes, 59 seconds, 24 minutes, 17 seconds, 22, 39, 21:08. Has 3 points in that span, all on the power play. Obviously, Gostisbehere is coming back, and that probably concludes Nikishin's run on the top power play unit. But it is a data point that now it looks like Nikishin is that guy with a bullet. They've tried some other guys there. Gostisbehere has missed time at other points. They've tried guys like Keandre Miller. They've tried guys like Sean Walker. Nikishin comes in, and it works. And
Yep.
Carolina has struggled at times with that power play, even though it should be pretty potent. So I think that's something to watch with Nikishin. I don't think you drop him. I think the peripherals are so good, it doesn't even matter if he's on power play one. He should be able to survive as like a fourth defenseman on your squad. And if he ever is power play one again, you could be looking at a league winning potential player. Jackson Blake I mentioned, but Nikolai Ehlers, I was getting close to being ready to drop
Mm-hmm.
him, and then all of a sudden you look up and Ehlers, obviously the whole team had a nice little game there against Montreal, at least offensively, and he has 3 points in that game. He had 2 assists a couple nights before, and so now it's pretty tough to drop Nikolai Ehlers in this week. Obviously, everybody who's listened to this podcast knows I really like Nikolai Ehlers. Under the hood, he always looks tremendous. This year he hasn't looked that tremendous, but if there's any sign with Nikolai Ehlers that he might be figuring it out, I'm going to
Yeah.
jump all over that, and I can't drop him anymore. So that's where I'm at with Ehlers.
That's so funny, man. He's that type of player. You're like, oh, he's getting more minutes. Let's get him, pick him up, right? I'm almost like that with Jackson Blake to some degree, like not to the same level, but I will say I agree with you there. I would drop Jackson Blake, but only because his numbers have fallen off under the hood. I feel like that's a guy that he's getting power play one still, line two, power play one, but the numbers are not good, and he hasn't looked good out there. So I definitely agree with you there. But I do expect that player to be valuable moving forward. Let's move on to Colorado. And the players I'm looking at here, a couple power play one studs on a weirdly bad power play in Colorado. We got Brock Nelson, you got Gabe Landeskog. We've also got Brent Burns, who's looks decent on the hood. Devin Taves. Devin, what are you doing with these studs here?
Yeah, they have changed up the power play again. Nelson all of a sudden has 5 points in his last 3 games.
Mhm.
Landeskog is a guy that I've been pretty vocal about hanging on to. His underlying still look pretty great. 10th in on ice expected goals for over the last 5 games. His ice time did go down in the last game here, so that's something to watch if he's going to continue to trend down there. 14:08 in the last game after playing over 20 minutes in 4 straight games, then 17:49 and this 14:08. So just a note of caution on Landeskog, but I'm not ready to drop yet. He was playing really well. Underlines look good. I want to hang on there. Burns, his underlines look good, but the points have kind of gone away. I think it's just some regression.
Yep.
But again, it's kind of a defenseman along with Devin Taves where I'm like, yeah, probably they're going to run into some points here and there. But if this is a week where getting rid of one of those guys really opens up the schedule for you, you can get one of the premier streamers on one of the other teams, then it is a player that I would be willing to drop to make that happen.
Yep, absolutely agree with those. I do want to mention, like, it's such an anomaly. Like, I'm digging in on Colorado here. They have the 31st worst power play in the league. They're number one in expected goals for at 5-on-5, number one in actual goals for, number one in goals against at 5-on-5. Like, this team is an absolute wagon. Besides on the power play where they stink. So just remember that, folks. It's like even strength deployment is kind of what matters here in Colorado right now. And if players are getting good even strength deployment, like Landeskog and Natchez and anyone like, Lehkonen and Nichushkin, all these guys, they're still going to eat, right? The power play is not where they make their bacon here on this team, which is bizarre. Anyways, let's move on to the next team. We got the Edmonton Oilers. I think there's going to be some interesting conversation here. So we're looking at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who, yeah, I mean, I've never been big on the guy. You get a 100-point season in there, and we have to talk about him all the time. I don't know. But you got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you got Darnell Nurse, Matthias Ekholm, like some fringe defensemen. What are you doing with those players there? Holding or dropping?
Yeah, I think you got to hang on to Nugent Hopkins. He's got 5 points in his last five. He's on pace, like on a point per game pace in 32 games this season. So you're not dropping Nugent Hopkins. Sounds pretty cut and dried. Nurse and Ekholm are, to me, again, just kind of in the same category with Burns and Taves, where it's just like, yeah, they're solid defensemen on a good team. They'll probably run into some points here and there. Nurse, obviously, in Bangers Cats, he's got a bit more of a peripheral floor that you like there. So maybe a little bit more impetus to hold him in a spot like that. But again, I don't think these guys are changing your season. If there's a streamer out there, if you need to win this week, I think both of these guys are in play to be dropped this week if you need to.
Yep, absolutely, buddy. I'm definitely trying to hold on to Nurse there. I do like that kind of safety with the floor there. But yeah, no, it's I actually didn't realize Nuge was on an 82-point pace. That's crazy. What? All right, he does that. I guess that's what happens when Draisaitl and McDavid go nuclear, right? And you get some bits and pieces. You get the scraps, Nuge. All right, let's go over to Florida. We're looking at Anton Lundell and Aaron Ekblad. What are you doing with those players? Because I think the other players are pretty easy drops, potentially players like Lewis Starnin, Erod, all those guys. That's what we're talking about. But what about Lundell? What about Ekblad?
Yeah, both of them have 4 points in the last five before tonight's game here. So they've both been putting stuff together. Lundell, 19 and a half minutes. Ekblad, about 21 and a half. I still like Lundell. I'm pretty interested to see what happens. I don't think of all the players, I think he's the least affected by Kachuk coming back because I don't think it really changes his. If anything, it just gives him better players to play with at even strength, I think. And so that's actually a net bonus for Lundell, probably. And so I'm kind of bullish on that. Ekblad, I have never really been interested in what he brings to the table. He's kind of, again, in this tier for me with Nurse and Ekholm and these guys. Again, it's a guy who had like one really good season one time, and everybody is hung on to that in their minds, like to say that he should get back there. It's just never going to happen. He's going to have some good stretches like he's had in the last little bit, and he'll probably go cold again. So it's not a guy that I feel strongly about hanging on to if you need to make a move.
Yeah, I am going to hold a little candle for Ekblad here. I think, especially with Seth Jones, potentially, like if Seth Jones misses some time,
Sure.
you got Ekblad who is running power play one, and he had a monster game here. Like he didn't score, but he had 5 shots, 5 hits, 4 blocks. Like that'll play, and I don't know if this is your experience too, Nate, but I just find that defensemen that have that floor, guys like Nurse and things like that who we're talking about, like I found them to be a little bit more valuable because defense is so slim, like on the wire. I don't feel like there's a lot of guys out there. So if I drop a guy like Ekblad, I find it hard to replace. Like, has that been sort of your experience, or you're kind of just, focused more on kind of big forwards and maybe taking some swings at defense on the wire?
Yeah, I think we overrate how replaceable these guys. I think I said that wrong. I think we overrate how irreplaceable these guys are.
Mm.
We tend to build them up in our minds, and yeah, floor is something, but it's not everything. I think you should be in a general posture of chasing upside more often than not. I think if you had Sam Malinsky on your roster all season instead of Aaron Ekblad, you'd probably actually be happier with your team at this moment in time. And don't think that's something that anybody could have said going into the season. So, yeah, I think they're like, we're going to talk about a few guys later on that I think are very comparable to Ekblad right now in the hold me section. And I think these guys crop up a lot more often than we think. And you have to hold any of these guys, you would have to hold through some pretty grim sections of the season to get the points out of them like you would have with Ekblad so far this year.
Yep. Absolutely like that. All right, let's move on to the New York Islanders. We got the ass man, Emil Heineman and Anders Lee. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to move on from Heineman. I want to see what's going on with Horvat, but Heineman has been a guy they've looked at on the top power play. He was there in the last game. He has been playing up the lineup a little bit as well. So I'm coming around a little bit on Heineman just based on deployment there. So keep an eye on what that deployment looks like, but I would
Yeah.
try to keep Heineman in a fair number of spots this week. Lee, I think, is a pretty obvious streamer level player you can move off of anytime.
Absolutely. Andrews Lee, get the hell out of my sight. Beautiful jawline on that man, though. Let's agree on that. Philadelphia Flyers, we got Trevor Zegras, we got Matvei Michkov, we got Owen, just the tippet, who's actually been doing some stuff under the hood lately. Talk to me about those three players.
Yeah, Zegers hasn't scored in a little bit, but he does have 4 assists in his last 5. Still getting the 18-plus minute treatment on a point per game pace on season. I don't think there's any scenario in which you're dropping Zegers unless it's a really shallow league. Michkov is starting to have some better under the hood numbers, but he's getting 13 and a half minutes a night, which makes him basically unplayable for fantasy. 43rd in shots per 60, 45th in on ice expected goals for per 60 for those canting at home. Owen Tippett, couple goals, no assists his last 5, about 14 and a half minutes average time on ice. Still pretty unplayable for fantasy, but he is second in shots per 60, third in individual expected goals for per 60 in this 5-game stretch. So Owen Tippett, he does this. He gets hot. He gets hot under the hood sometimes. He fades under the hood, and then he rips off 5 goals in 5 games, and everybody jumps back on the bandwagon, and then he goes dormant. He's the Philadelphia Flyers' answer to Nino Niederreiter.
He's the ultimate chucker. Hard to rely on. Let's go to Toronto. We got Morgan Riley. We got Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Are you holding both these players, or what are you doing?
I think you can drop OEL. He's run really hot, scoring goals at kind of an insane clip so far this year. Riley's running the power play. The power play is actually working right now, and so obviously I think you hang on to him as long as that's working. OEL is more bubble to me. I think you can drop him. He's maybe a touch above kind of the other fringe defensemen that we've talked about so far. I'd like to see how long it can go, especially if the Leafs do get hot a little bit on offense here for a while.
Yeah.
He's been a consistent puck mover for them on the back end, and this is a team that needs him to be that. So I think he's a lot more on the fringe, but not a guy that I think is changing your fantasy season in the back half here. So you can definitely move on to if you have to.
Yep, absolutely. And then lastly, Vancouver. We got a couple more defensemen, Philip Hronik and Zeev Buium. What's your pleasure, sir?
I think I'm hanging on to Hronik and letting go of Buium. I think Hronik, he's going to get 25 minutes a night every single night for the rest of the season. That feels pretty much guaranteed at this point. And yeah, they have tried some different stuff with power plays here in Vancouver. Buium has not been great. I think you can drop Buium. I do think Buium still has the highest offensive potential here, and it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in this season he does kind of pop off and have a nice little run where he scores, 7 points in 10 games or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me, but it's not something I'm going to wait around for if there's something out there on the wire that's going to change my streaming week.
Absolutely, buddy. And there's no peripherals with Buium, none. I'm going to give you a quick would you rather, buddy. Hronik, Ekblad, or Nurse?
Hronik, Ekblad, or Nurse. I think I'm taking Nurse there, but Hronik is right there. Ekblad is a clear third for me.
Love it. All right, let's move on, buddy. We got to move on to another section we like to call Crossing the Streams. Yeah, buddy. You got to get your biscuits over to YouTube and check out some awesome visuals. I got some bits and pieces. I want to do some crossing the streams here. I will say we've had a development with this segment. I am sad to report that Nate and I have both been legally forbidden to cross the streams in public by local authorities for an undetermined amount of time. And, I'm not going to get into all the details, but long story short, we went shopping for fancy hats together, right? Nate and I do that. We like to go to the horse races, right? From time to time. We really like those hats that people wear at the racetrack. You know what I mean? Like the Kentucky Derby. Nate really likes the tiny ones that sort of sit on the top and just kind of tilt to the side and the fancy ribbons. I like the big floppy ones. You know what I'm saying? With like an ornate brooch or something like that. Anyways, we park the car. We go in, right? It's an underground parking. We pick out our favorites. We wear them out, obviously, right? Nate, I should say, he also bought these like sock suspender things, right? To go, Nate, I hope maybe one time I'll show you on the stream here, but yeah, Nate likes to wear short shorts. Like, fun fact, folks, he's wearing short shorts right now. You can only see his torso, but yeah, the shorts underneath, very short. And now he's got those sock suspenders to like hold your socks up that kind of attach to your ginch, I think. I'm sorry, Nate. Anyways, he bought those. He likes to wear it all year round. Anyways, I'm hoping I'm painting a vivid picture for all of you. Anyways, we're walking back to the car. And of course, You can't take Nate anywhere. He's like a 5-year-old, right? Like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And you're like, oh, damn it, man. There's nothing around here, Nate. Okay, but I should mention too, and this is a serious, topic. Nate has an underlying medical condition called uromycetitis. Okay, basically, if he holds it too long, he could be poisoned and potentially die. Right. So we obviously don't want that, right? We don't want him holding it. We need to release that stream, right? So we've crossed the streams in many parking garages before. So, anyways, we get to a dark corner, right? We line up, we start getting the biz, right? Stream's glorious as usual. Our bond growing, right? Ever stronger. But unfortunately, just as we're zipping up, a random security guard came upon us on his patrol. And yeah, Nate kind of thought he'd, approach him nicely, right? But unfortunately, this security guard took a hard takedown of Nate, just put him down to the ground. He had his elbow on his back. I don't know what was going on there. Anyways, the guy detained us, put us into like a little room. There was like a storage closet there, until our wives could come pick us up, basically. But both of us had to sign a document stating that we would not cross the streams in public for the foreseeable future. So, I need to let you people know there may not be as many crossing the stream stories, stories of our sacred bond moving forward. But rest assured, my legal team is having a long look at this document, looking for potential loopholes, because even when we don't cross the streams in person, Nate, the streams are still crossed somewhere out there, because, there's many places, probably over a lake, a urinal, or in the eyes of a confused third party, right? Because, and this is something Nate and I considered for the Apples and Ginos business card. Once you cross the streams, you've crossed the streams, right? That's profound, right? And that's how we get to biz. The other option was once crossed, always crossed, which I think is a little bit better. Anyways, that's what we went with. But Nate, how are you going to handle not crossing the streams as much, right? Will you be okay? Because I know it's a huge part of your life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm crushed, and I will need several days to recover. So please respect Blake and I's privacy at this tough time.
Very
But
sad.
yeah, obviously, we'll put a brave face on it, and we'll keep going for the people.
Crossing the streams. Yeah. All right. That's all we got, folks. All right. See you later. No, we got to talk about the best teams to stream. And we got some good ones here this week. We got the Utah Mammoth and the Washington Capitals, 4 games with 4 off nights. These are going to be premium streams for you, folks. So let's dive in. Nate is going to go into more detail on the dream stream. So definitely check that out. We're going to do kind of a rapid fire here and talk about some of the players that you can get on these teams, starting with Utah. And we're looking at Sean, the Jersey Shore, Jackie McBain, Lawson Krause, and Barrett Hayton, that line 2 power play 2 wizard. Talk to me about how you're sort of ranking these players and some kind of upside here with these picks.
Yeah, Sean Dursey is actually kind of interesting to me. He has 4 assists in the last 5 games, over 20 minutes average time on ice, 32nd in shots per 60, 24th in on ice expected goals for per 60. Some good stuff under the hood from Sean Dursey. I think Utah as a team is turning things around a little bit here. Yeah, getting some momentum back in their side. So Sean Dursey, I think, I think just talking about those other defensemen we were just talking about, I think I'd drop all of them for Sean Dursey for the upcoming week. So that's nice. Something to keep in mind. Lawson Krause has 4 points in the last 5. He's been playing on a line with Dylan Guenther and reaping the rewards there. I actually kind of like that pair. I think Krause creates space for Guenther, and obviously we know Guenther can rip it when he's got space. So I kind of like that there. Barrett Hayton, I think I'm done trusting Barrett Hayton to do anything.
He's had enough.
It might have to be like a 16-team league for me to look at Barrett Hayton this week. Jack McBain, still a big-time hitter. We'll talk about him later.
Yep, absolutely. I like Dursey as well. It's a player I've liked in the past. I remember having a fun discussion with you. I think it was 2 years ago, like Dursey and Sergachev on Power Play 1. Who's going to get it? Obviously, it was Sergachev. All right, but that's because Dursey got injured. We'll never know, will we, Nathan?
We'll never know. Bro.
Oh, damn. All right, let's move on. We got to talk about the Caps, the Washington Capitals. So we're looking at Ryan Leonard, who's been on Power Play 1 here. That's kind of nice. Connor McMichael, Matt Roy, Martin Ferravari, the Ferrari, and Rasmus Sandin, who's been chipping away with some offense there. Talk to me about the Capitals and who you like there.
Yeah, I am most interested in Leonard. He's still on the top power play at this time. It'd be more interesting to me if he wasn't on an even strength line with Nick Dowd and Anthony Beauvillier, which is where offense goes to die. I mean, last time I said that about a specific line, Mikhail Backlund took that very personally and
He
started
certainly did.
scoring a ton of goals. So maybe that'll cue the resurgence for that line offensively. But either way, I like Leonard's. I just like the player mostly here, and he's still getting power play one at this time. So assuming that sticks, I'm going to be interested in him. He does have 4 assists in the last five, getting about 15 minutes a night. Connor McMichael is getting more time, about 18 and a half minutes over the last 5 games, but he's
Yep.
got less production. Underlyings are not really inspiring a lot of confidence here either. He is playing with Tom Wilson, which is a bit of a recipe for success in terms of scoring goals at this point in time. So, yeah, you can definitely look at McMichael as a potential option. On the back end, I think Roy, Sandin, and Veru are all pretty good options this week. Yeah, more so for the banger side. Sandin has shown a little bit of offense here in the last little bit, so maybe there's something there. You could take a swing on that if you need some.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. You know what's interesting about these teams, Utah and Washington, is they're both really good even strength performers and pretty poor power play performers. So I don't know. It's just something I look at when I'm looking at streamers and how I'm valuing, because obviously power play is king. We're like, who's on power play one? That's who we want. And I don't know. Teams like this kind of give me a little bit of extra confidence, just that they're going to be able to score. Guys like Connor McMichael, guys like Ryan Leonard on that crappy even strength line, like they've been putting up some good numbers, like Washington in particular. They're second in the league in goals for at 5-on-5. Washington, right? They're getting the biz, but they're 27th overall in power play conversion. So very similar in Utah. Anyways, just a fun note. Is that fun, Nate? I don't know. Do you find that fun?
So fun.
Damn, I love that energy. Thank you, Nathan. God, this guy jacks you up. This is unbelievable. All right, let's move on. So obviously Utah, Washington, your premium streamiums. Okay, you got to look over to the next tier down. Los Angeles Kings play 4 games with 3 off nights. Really nice stuff. They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it's a great start to your week, really. And then you can kind of maybe chuck in a couple single game streams if you want to go with an LA player. But yeah, talk to me about the LA Kings. We're looking at, we put Quentin Byfield on here. He's 59% rostered on Yahoo, but I have seen him dropped in a lot of places, right? I held on in the 2 spots I have him. So I'm excited about that, even though he's not doing a damn thing. But at least you got a guy that's playing a bunch of minutes and, potential for power play. But you got Byfield. We got Drew Doughty, who's running a power play over there in LA. I don't know what the hell's happening. You got Brant Clark running the other power play, and he seems to be kind of the 1A at this point, Brant Clark, which is an interesting development. You got Kopitar, who's out there potentially. And then Alex Laferriere is a guy that I think you will definitely have as an option for your streamer this week. So talk to me about the Kings, Nate.
Yeah, the Kings are in a really weird spot right now. They have gone to town on their lines. Byfield playing with Armia and Fogel, Fiala playing with Turcotte and Kuzmenko.
God.
Kopitar, Kempe, Laferriere is the only line that has been pretty consistent. Not even necessarily this year, but at times throughout the past couple of years. Power play, they just threw a bomb in there and saw what came out at the end of it as well. Corey Perry, Fiala, Byfield, Kuzmenko, Clark is one unit. Kopitar, Armia, Kempe, Laferriere, Doughty is like the second unit. I don't
Jim
honestly know what to
Hiller,
make
man.
of
What is
that.
he doing?
I can't see a scenario in which the guy that they just gave this massive contract extension to is actually on the second power play unit. So I think they're trying to 1A, 1B this situation. I don't know if it's going to continue that way, but it's worth noting that the Byfield unit, the Brant Clark unit, also did score a couple of goals, and that's something that they desperately need their power play to do. So if it keeps working, they might just go with it. I mean, if you're just looking at underlying numbers, Brant Clark and Alex Laferriere are the guys who jump off the page. Brant Clark's 7th amongst defensemen in shots per 60, close to 20 minutes a night, too, so that part's not too bad. 21st in on ice expected goals for per 60, despite Jim Hiller tearing his hair out over that news. Alex Laferriere has 3 goals in his last 5, just over 17 minutes average time on ice, 8th in shots per 60, 14th in individual expected goals for per 60, like Laferriere a little bit there, too. Obviously, Byfield Caulfield getting 20 minutes. You can definitely do worse than that stream as well if he has been dropped in your league. Drew Doughty getting close to 23 minutes. I mean, just for pure volume, you could throw him in there. He does have 3 points in his last
Yep.
five, so it's not terrible. You can look even deeper to guys like Fogel and Trevor Moore when he's back. But yeah, these are the guys I'd be sticking with. I'm actually kind of into Clark and LaFerriere for next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see that quote from Jim Hiller where he said he was going to split the power plays up and he was going to give time to the unit that scores? Did you see him say that?
Yeah, that doesn't
Like
make a lot of sense to
it
me,
was
but
insane. Like, and I think he's doing that. Like, that's why
yeah,
the Clark unit is getting more time. So it's just bizarre. He's galaxy braining over there. I think it would be I feel like Jim Hiller's on the hot seat a little bit. I don't think it's been a good season for him and his coaching, and he has not been getting the best out of these players here in LA, that's for sure. So my 2 cents there. Let's move on to the next tier of teams here. We got 4 games and 2 off nights. And there are 4 teams that have that: Calgary Flames, Ottawa Senators, San Jose Sharks, and the Winnipeg Jets. So let's start over in Calgary. They play Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday. So they're a great start to your week if you want to get a Calgary streamer in there. We're looking at Blake the Snake Coleman. You got Huberto out here, Matt Coronado. I feel like we talk about him all the time. He's either, we're dropping him all the time, but then we're kind of interested again. He's like one of those fringe players. Mikhail Backlund, the Tinkly Winkly man, Morgan Frost, Igor Sharangovich. There's a lot of guys there, and they're all vying for offensive minutes and touches of the puck. Like, how do you kind of separate those Calgary Flames there?
I don't think you honestly can. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the guys who have been hot, like Backlund has 7 points in his last five, Coleman has 5 points in his last five. If that just like totally flips and all of a sudden it's Morgan Frost who has 5 points in his next five here, and it's Sharon Govich who has 4 points in his next five, that wouldn't be shocking to me at all. So I think you are kind of just throwing a dart and trying to stay with something that's working. You can go with Backlund and Coleman. Both of these guys have been known to get hot for a couple weeks at a time and just kind of fade off again after that. Wouldn't be too surprising if they keep it going for one more week here. So I don't hate that. Sharon Govich playing with Kadri, even strength. That's not nothing. Frost is playing with guys like Zari, Huberto. Even got some time with Klapka in the last game. That's pretty rough, but he is
The
still on power
ultimate
play
beaver.
one. And, yeah, and Frost also has 0 points in the last 5 games here, and his ice time has been steadily going down. So I'm not super into that. Coronado's underlines look terrible. I don't know what's going on with this
I know.
guy at the moment. 388th in shots per 60 in the last 5 games. So not into that. Huberto, I mean, I guess, but the underlines are really bad here as well. And so, yeah, I'm desperately trying to go elsewhere with my streams. I think I'd honestly rather just try to stay in the Flames with Backlund or Coleman than take Huberto at this point.
Yeah, I feel like I'm desperately trying to not stream a Calgary Flame. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's other options. Like, you got to go a different way. This team is really, really poor offensively. Like, they're getting the job done, but like we said, it's a dart throw, and I don't like that for fantasy. I feel like there are better, players that give us a better odds of getting some points. So that's my 2 cents there. Let's move over to Ottawa. They have the exact same schedule as the Flames, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So again, you can start your week with some of these studs. Dylan Cousins, if he's out there, 55%, I think is a no-brainer. You should probably have that guy on your roster anyway. We got Thomas Chabot as well, 55%. Kick tires, see if he's out there, right? I think it's a big minute D-man who can put some points on the board. And then you got the Pinto Bean. He's doing stuff. I love Shane Pinto. He's back. You got Claude Giroux. You got Fabian Zetterlund, who's getting some top six deployment there. Talk to me about the Sens.
Yeah, well, I guess start at the top there. I do like Shabbat. I think he is probably, yeah, more in that OEL kind of tier than the other guys I've spoken about in the episode here. Underlines look a little better as well. 30th on ice expected goals for per 60 there. 23 plus minutes. Looks a little better there. Claude Giroux and Fabian Zetterlund both have 5 points in the last 5 games. You can try to stay hot with those guys. For neither of them have great underlines to suggest that this is something that's really going to continue for a long period of time here. Zetterlund is 91st in shots per 60, so I guess that's something, but 215th in individual expected goals for per 60. So, yeah, coming from a bit of distance and probably getting a little bit lucky on the goal scoring as of late. He has gotten some time with like Stutzla, with Kachuk up the lineup as of late, so I haven't been a spot and I haven't dropped him yet because the points have still been coming, but probably after the Monday, Wednesday, hang on to him there, and then I'll be dropping him there. So that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of these Senators. I like Shane Pinto. His underlines do not look terrific at this exact moment in time. I think, it's only been a couple games, give him a little bit more, but he's also playing with Amadio and Grieg, who's just like not a great spot for fantasy success either. So yeah, it's hard to get super excited about a lot here at the moment. I do feel like Pinto, Drew, Zetterlund, any one of them could be a good stream next week, but it's pretty certain that not all three of them will be.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I love that name, Michael Amadio. It's a me, Amadio. I always think of that. You can use
Nice.
that. All right. You can use that, Nate. All right. When you're out in public, and take credit for it. You know what I mean? Treat yourself. Oh, I'm going with that. All right. San Jose Sharks, let's move on. Yeah. San Jose plays Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So, yeah, their off nights are the Wednesday and the Sunday. Yeah, it's kind of interesting when they're back to back like that because, yeah, you're probably not going to get them. Maybe if you can get them in the Tuesday game, that would be nice, right? That would bump San Jose up in my books. If you can get them in on the Tuesday, then you're looking at 3 off nights. But, yeah, some really interesting pieces here. Toffoli, Eklund, I mean, they should be rostered, right? But if they're not, I think they got to be rostered for this upcoming week, right? They should probably be in your lineup. You got the Klingon, John Klingberg, and Dmitry Orlov out there for your defensive options. I'm really interested in Igor Chernyshov and Colin Graff to some degree. I think they're exciting young players. It's always hard to trust young players like this, but Chernyshov in particular, with this deployment with Macklin Celebrini, the way that he's playing right now, and the clear chemistry that those two have together, it's been pretty fun to watch. So, and I'll throw Wenberg in there as well. Talk to me about these Sharks and what do you think the upside is for a player like Chernyshov and maybe Graf?
Yeah, I like Chernyshov as well. It's hard not to at this point. 60 minutes average time on ice. Last 5 games, got
Yep.
6 points, 3 goals, 72nd shots per 60, 28th on ice, expected goals for per 60. I think Macklin Celebrini could have chemistry with a brick wall at this point, but also there's been some undeniable magic that's been going on there with Chernyshov in the last little bit. He is a rookie. It could all go away very fast, but at this moment in time, he's pretty clearly the most exciting guy here and also has the potential upside if he does get on power play one at some point, which
Yep.
isn't out of the question here either. Toffoli, yeah, I agree. He should be rostered this week. Klingberg has slowed down, but his underlines are still pretty strong, so I'm not mad at that. Orlov is kind of a 14 team or deeper kind of stream this week. Colin Graff is hard to make sense of. 270th shots per 60, 82nd individual expected goals for per 60. He's kind of that kind of dude. He plays shorthanded. He was last seen playing on the line with Toffoli and Wenberg, so it's obviously not Celebrini exposure, which is what we're really hoping for. But yeah, he's getting a bunch of minutes and he's doing a little bit of something with it. He's got 3 goals in his last 5. Wenberg getting over 20 minutes a night, playing on the top power play. I think, yeah, again, it's more like a 14 team league kind of stream, a little bit of deeper league stream, but he's probably going to be rostered in a fair number of spots, at least for that Tuesday, Wednesday, if somebody's fitting them in.
Absolutely, buddy. Let's move over to the Winnipeg Jets. And again, the Jets have that Friday, Sunday as their off nights here. So that's really valuable stuff. They play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So, yeah, you could be picking some of these guys up for the back half of your week. And we're looking at Neil Pionk, 55% rostered, I think is in that Darnell Nurse kind of range that we've been talking about, the OEL, right? A guy that can sort of chip away as your 4th or 5th D-man. We got Mom Spaghetti, Cole Perfetti, Nino Niederreiter, healthy scratch earlier. I am kind of staying away from that player. I'm not loving what's going on with the Jets right now anyway. And then Gus Nyquist. Yeah, this is bottom of the barrel stuff. I do like Pionk. I think that's a reasonable Friday, Sunday stream, but are you interested in any of these other guys for that?
I mean, I guess it's right now anyway, it's Nyquist on the top power play. So you can look that way. He did pick up an assist there against
Good job.
Toronto. Perfetti had like he's 19th in shots per 60, but part of the reason for that is he's averaging just over 12 and a half minutes average time on ice in the
Right.
last 5 games. So not going his way. I agree on Pionk. I do kind of like what he brings to the table. He's going to eat some minutes. He's going to bring the peripherals, and then he should run into some points here or there. But yeah, I agree. Need a rider I'm not looking at for this week because of that potential for scratching. It's Nyquist, I guess, as the potential forward
Uh,
stream, but again, it's like we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
yeah, get yourself some Mammoth and get yourself some Capitals and don't fart around with the Jets. But if you do, go get yourself some Cole Perfetti. Oh, yeah, feels good. Does not feel good. All right, let's go to the next tier of teams, and then I want to move on to the dream streams. We got to get the biz there. We got Chicago and St. Louis both play 3 games with 2 off nights, and with the value to these off nights, yeah, you're going to be potentially using these guys in your stream. So Chicago plays. They don't play until Wednesday, so they play Wednesday, Friday. It's kind of a midweek off night stream there. So and then St. Louis plays the exact same. Wednesday, Friday, and then the busy Saturday. So you can get off these players. Let's start in Chicago. We got Tyler Bertuzzi. He had a big game the other night. Oh, my God. A ton of scoring chances, big shots. It was nice to see. Ryan Donato, Toivo Teravainen, Levshinov on power play 1. You still got Burakovsky out here. You got Nick Lardis, power play 1. What are you doing with the Blackhawks?
Yeah, I think there's actually some interest here for me. I'm interested in anybody associated with that power play. It's still
Yeah,
working.
still good.
They've
Weird.
taken off Bedard, they've taken off Nazar, and it still just keeps clipping along. So anybody on that top power play right now, I am pretty interested in. And that also means that I'm interested in Ryan Donato because he's there right now, along with Teravainen, Burakovsky, and Bertuzzi.
You're rostering him
Obviously,
too, aren't you? You
I
got
am
Donato in a
rostering
couple
Donato
places?
in a few spots this week, and I had a nice little game for me the other night. 18 and a half minutes average time on ice in the last 5 games. I don't think a lot of people are clocking that right now. 36th in individual expected goals for per 60 in that time frame. Yeah, I'm here for it with Ryan Donato. We saw the proof of concept last year. Obviously, he ran a bit hot last year playing with Bedard, but I do think that there's something here with Donato. If he's going to get these minutes, he's going to be worth a stream in a fair number of leagues. If Bertuzzi's out there, he's kind of the clear guy here for me, but then it's Donato and Teravainen in kind of a next tier down. I think that's a pretty interesting look. Levshinov on the back end, yeah, 4 points his last 5, over 22 minutes a night, 46th individual expected goals for per 60, 34th on ice expected goals for per 60. Definitely worth a look there. Burakovsky, Lardis, kind of bottom of the barrel guys for me.
You watch yourself. You watch how you talk about Andre Burakovsky, all right? You're on notice, son. Okay. Let's talk about the St. Louis Blues. And a guy that I've received a lot of questions on. I'm interested in your take here. Jordan Kyrou. Yeah, it's been a rough season for him, I think. And yeah, he's been benched at times. It has not been a good look. Colton Parayko, Cam Fowler out there. I mean, I think Kyrou Parayko should be rostered, really. Cam Fowler, sure. Late Night Beauty. Pavel Buchnevich, Jake Neighbors. Hey, neighbor. Braden Shen, Jimmy Snuggerud. I mean, are the Blues doing anything for you?
I mean, not a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Kyrou did have, another 7 shot attempts for individual scoring chances for in the game here today, 15-10 time on
Some
ice.
minutes.
It's like, it's you're just watching game by game, just praying that at some point Montgomery's going to relent and let him play.
Get him out
Like,
there.
yeah, it feels like, it's like the Nylander situation in Toronto. It's like we've seen this story a million times with a million different players. He's just not going to play defense. So why don't you just let him
Mhm.
play the way he's going to play? I get there's like a whole culture thing there, and it really does seem like there is an issue with Cairo because it's been multiple coaches at this time, but both of the like all of the coaches have kind of been this like really typical like old school kind of hard ass kind of coaches. So anyway, I don't really know what's going on there. I do think Cairo has really solid pop off potential. I just don't know if we're going to see it under Montgomery at this point. So I do like Cairo the player. It's just kind of living on the needle's edge there with which way the wind blows with Montgomery on any single day.
Ooh.
On defense, you got Pareko, Fowler. I mean, you can extend that to guys like Broberg. Any one of them can have a nice week here or there. Fowler is the guy getting power play time, so maybe that's the way you look. But yeah, it's been rough for all the St. Louis defensemen not named Justin Falk this year. Falk is having a tremendous year.
He's looking
Uh,
really good. Yeah.
yeah, just kind of out of the blue after kind of having a tough one last year. Pun not intended there. Pavel Buchnevich, 4 points in the last 5, heading into tonight's game. Neighbors, a couple goals. Underlyings are all pretty putrid across the board here, so there's nothing that I'm like super excited about. when I'm looking at these players. And they didn't do a whole heck of a lot in this game against Vegas either to recommend themselves to me. Like Buchnevich had a couple points. Uh, the fourth line got it going. Turubchenko and Sundqvist. It's just tough at this point to suggest anybody on St. Louis. Kyrou has the most upside. Buchnevich has the most consistency in terms of where he's going to play in the lineup, but not a lot of consistency in whether that's going to mean points. So yeah, it's a bit of a crapshoot over here in St. Louis as well at the moment.
High praise for the St. Louis Blues here on the Absolute Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast, folks. There are 6 teams that play 4 games with 1 off night: Anaheim, Boston, Columbus, Nashville, Seattle, and Vegas. So, I mean, yeah, see what we can do there. I think if they play on the Monday, you're probably holding the Monday, and then you can decide what you want to do after that, because these off nights are key. Nate, talk to us about the Absolute Ginos Patreon, and then we got to get into Dream Streams.
All right. Supporter tier, $2 a month gets you Apples and Ginos Patron League eligibility. Right now, that means we put you on the wait list. If anybody drops their team, you can take over that team, potentially get yourself better seating for next year. Apple's here, $8 a month, gets you that APL eligibility, gets you access to patron-only Discord channels, gets you access to patron-only live shows. Just did one this week about buy lows and sell highs. You can still access that if you join. Show notes, including the weekly ad targets that we talk about right here in a list for you. Also, the Apples and Ginos player evaluation tool. You can look at Alexi Protas's scary
I
face.
heard you talking some smack on Alexi Protas last time I wasn't here, and I'm here to rectify that, Nathan.
He has had a very nice stretch here, 8 points in his last 5. So shout out to Alexi Protas for that. All right, we got to get into the dream streams. This is basically where I just rank all the players for points for the upcoming week. I am doing this only based off the number of off nights that these players have, and honestly, it is really rough. I feel like I'm going with Ryan Leonard off the top, and after that, I really think you could juggle this a million different ways. I'm going with William Eklund, even with 2 off nights. Like, if I could take Eklund's 2 games against 4 games of like Lawson Krause or even Connor McMichael, who we talked about, like, I think I would just take Eklund at this point. He's playing with Celebrini, even strength, power play, tons of minutes, tons of opportunity. I think I would just take the Eklund games there. Anze Kopitar, Alex Laferriere. I think both these guys could score some points, probably score some points together because they're playing together. Mm-hmm. I like Laferriere. I think Kopitar's setup ability and Laferriere's shooting ability kind of go hand in hand there. So I think it's a decent marriage for the 3 off nights they have this week. Then I've got Kroos. Then I'm going to Igor Chernyshov. I'm going to Wenberg, then finally coming around on McMichael. This is probably due to the fact that McMichael has burned me personally, but if I'm being objective about it, McMichael's a perfectly fine stream for this week. Cromulent, some might even say. Brant Clark, I think this is a week that you want to get in on Brant Clark. I've said this once before and it didn't really work out that well, but this is a week to get in on Brant Clark, have him on your roster, and then just see how the week goes. One of these weeks, I fully believe that he's just going to absolutely pile drive Drew Doughty's face into the turf and never look back. So just waiting for that week to happen. Dylan Cousins, if he's available, Fabian Zetterlund, Tyler Toffoli, Pavel Buchnevich, Sean Dursey, Drew Doughty at the bottom here. There's just a lot of options that I don't feel strongly about. I wish that I did. I wish that I had a stronger take to give everybody. But honestly, I don't have it this week. I was looking at all these players and I sat here just staring at the list and trying to make a list out of it. And I couldn't do it and I refused. So that's where I'm at. You got anything to say here, Blake?
Yeah, I do just want to shout quickly your Eklund take. I think that's really smart. This is a guy, 2 games of Eklund makes a lot of sense to me. I'm just digging in on Mark Barber's stream sheets right now. His expected goals model over the last 2 weeks, Eklund is 2nd overall in expected goals per game. Right, 2nd overall, 3rd overall in dangerous shot attempts per game, 15th overall in shots per game. So that's a really strong stream to me. Like, that might be a guy that can make your roster on the busy nights, right? Depending on what he does. So I like that show there a lot, Nate.
Right, let's do the best for hits. Jack McBain, 4.2 hits per game over the last 30 days. Laferriere also does this, 3.7 hits per game. Lawson Krause, Brendan Duham, Matt Roy, Warren Fogle, Neil Pionk, Mario Ferraro All pretty good options there. For blocks, number one is going to be the Verherveru at
Ferrari.
2.3 blocks per game over the last 30 days. Sean Dursey does this as well pretty well, 2.2. Rasmus Sandin, 2.2. Brant Clark, shout out Brant Clark, 2.4 blocks per game. Obviously, only the 3 off nights there, but if you're getting him for all 4 games, then he might just be the top of the list just for blocks. Matt Roy, Ian Cole, Mikey Anderson, Nate Schmidt, Mario Ferraro, Dylan Sandberg are all options as well. Anything to add on the bangers, Blake?
Not too much. Just that this is going to be an easier week to get periffs than it is to get points.
Totally agree there. Let's move into Hold Me. These are some players that I definitely would like to hold. The Graduators, Philip Hronik, over 50% rostered now. Jed Greaves, Dan Vladar, a couple of goalies that we've continually referenced here. Now over
Congratulations.
50% rostered. May they never come back down. Felt like
What a positive. Yeah, it sounds like Hunger Games or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
May you never come back. Yeah,
Favor.
exactly. There you go.
Long-term plays, Patrick Kane still at the top. What are we going to say? Josh Norris, Gabriel Landeskog, Adam Fantilli, Matt Zuccarello, Anton Lundell, William Eklund, Jordan Eberle. That's a pretty solid tier here for me. You could throw in Ryan O'Reilly, Eli Tolvanen. Tolvanen, like, it really feels like Seattle needs Tolvanen right now. He's been getting crazy minutes, and he's been doing stuff with it. So I think that might just stick around at this point. Yeah, it might just be that guy. He's got 6 points his last 5, 61st shots per 60 over 19 minutes a night. It might not stay around forever, but I think like he's a pretty good roster and hold at this point if
He
you've
looks
already
good.
got him.
Like on the power play. He's kind of
Yeah.
got that Elias Pettersson like one-timer option on the flank there. He's got a
Yep.
bomb. He looks good.
Yep, he's in there as well. I've got Kairu here. This is more for the people who are, first in the league and looking at a buy. And if you want to really supercharge the roster, if Kairu ever gets untracked, if Montgomery gets fired, there are some scenarios in which Kairu is actually a guy who goes on a point per game bender at the end of the year. And that's not something you can say about a ton of guys on the waiver wire at this time of year. So Kairu makes the list for that reason alone. Elias Lindholm, Jerry McCann, Luke Evangelista, Mason Marchment in his new role in Columbus, Josh Doan, Chris Kreider, Beckett Seneca, Ryan Leonard. I did grudgingly put Marcus Johansson on the list this week. Tyler Toffoli, Dmitry Voronkov, and Matt Duchene. I'm still holding the candle, still throwing him here on the bottom. Still playing in just a brutal line at even strength where it's just never going to happen as long as he's with Jamie Benn and Justin Richkovian, which is a name that I finally learned how to say in the last podcast. Yeah, I think Duchesne has better days ahead, but it's probably a guy to watch list for now rather than add, just because of that deployment.
Yep.
Before I get to the sub 20%, you got anything to say? Anybody you want to highlight from the list here?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're going to go into it. Obviously, Josh Norris at 31%. Damn. He's not a good metrics guy. Like he never was, but he's pacing for 76 points, Nate. Just as we prognosticated. Shout out to you. Shout out to me. Let's go. I don't know.
All right. Sub 20%.
Brought the vibe down. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
Matt Zuccarello, 19% rostered, criminal. Luke Evangelista at 10%. Yeah. Go look at Luke Evangelista's game log and tell me why he's 10% rostered right now. It makes no sense. Mason Marchment, you could do the same. Power play 1, line 1 right now there in Columbus and doing stuff. So you have to be in on Mason Marchment at this moment in time. Josh Doan, Ryan Leonard, Igor Chernyshov, who we mentioned before. The problem with San Jose is that their schedule is just pretty tough overall. If their schedule is really nice, then I'd be a lot more into Chernyshov, but he is gonna be that fringe guy. But if you need a guy and you're in a bit of a deeper league and Chernyshov is still hanging out there, then definitely you can recommend that ad and probably hold him. Matt Coronado, I still believe in the player at some point. It's just not right now, so it's more of a watch list take there. Donato and Teravainen, who we mentioned before. Rossi, if he ever gets uninjured and figures it out in Vancouver, I think that there is a role there for him that could be, this 19-minute a night role and could be a power play one role. And he
Mhm.
could be a good distributor, a guy who feeds Pedersen for the one timers, stuff like that. I don't know that it'll happen this year, but it's at least something I'm keeping in the back of my mind. Sub 10% rostered, we've got Zetterlund, Benson, Bjorkstrand, Christian Dvorak doing stuff on that line with Zegras. The underlines actually look pretty
Yep.
good for him there. Matthias Michelli, as long as Nylander is out, Michelli has been taking his spot on top power play and playing a lot better at even strength as well, at least offensively. So Michelli is actually doing stuff at the moment. Jamie Snuggerud, just want to keep him on people's radars. Guy that we mentioned as a sleeper at the beginning of the year, was barely drafted in a lot of leagues, but still a guy I think has some potential if things start to go his way. And then Arseny Griciuk is a guy that I will never quit as long as the season goes. Anything to add from these lower rostered players, Blake?
I like the Dvorak take. I think that is a player that I'm interested in. I wish he wasn't center only, but that line with Zegras, Dvorak, and Konechny is pretty good. Their expected goals for is pretty high, right? They're generating a lot out there.
For sure. On defense, grudgingly, I have Klingberg here, but I do think Levshunov is right there with them. Yeah, like I said, 4 points in the last five. Underlines look good. Power play still humming along, and he's seems to have taken it over and running with it at this point in time. Shimon Nemec, when he gets back from IR,
Shimon.
I am pretty interested in what he could
Yeah.
bring to the Devils. Maybe that's the missing piece they need. I don't know at this point, but yeah, he had obviously a nice run there, and when he gets back, just want to keep that in mind. Then you get into a bunch of guys that you might be able to take or leave depending on your rosters. You got Ekholm. I do think Zebuyam, as I mentioned, has a lot of potential. Could be a guy who has a nice stretch later in the season. I'm not rostering him currently, but I am keeping his name here for that purpose. Bowen Byram, Brant Clark. I think I'm going to move Brant Clark way up this list. I just love Brant Clark, and I
Yep.
think
He's
as
awesome.
soon as he turfs Doughty, we're all going to be much happier, and probably we will achieve world peace at that time. Oliver Ekman Larson, Travis Sanheim, Sean Dursey, JJ Moser, Dmitry Orlov, Chris Letang, and Drew Doughty on the list as well. Sub 20% rostered, you got Lev Shunov, you got Nemec, you got Dursey, Moser, Sam Malinsky, Jamie Drysdale, Brady Shea with Nashville's resurgence here. Shea is just kind of a minute muncher. I actually think he is kind of similar to a bunch of the guys, like especially a guy like Aaron Ekblad. If Ekblad's getting power play one, obviously that's a bit of a different story, but I
Mm.
do think that Shea, if Nashville continues in this newfound goal scoring mode that they're in, I think Shea could be a guy who's in that kind of conversation as a fourth defenseman on rosters as well. So yeah, Dursey, Moser eating a ton of minutes there in Tampa Bay, and they're figuring things out. Braden Point is finally scoring goals again, so that's good to see. I think that Moser could run into a bit more points than he's had so far. Malinsky's been kind of remarkably consistent on the season. I don't know how many people are clocking this, but yeah, he's just skating his 17 minutes a night, and he's collecting assists every other game pretty much. So let's shout out to Sam Malinsky. I put Drysdale on the list. It was begrudgingly, but he is on that unit with Zegras and Konechny and the guys who are scoring goals. So you can do that. I personally am not doing it. It makes some sense from a theoretical perspective. I just don't know if I have the cojones to be rostering Jimmy Drysdale in the year of our Lord 2026. Anything to add on these defensemen, Blake?
Yeah, love the Shea shout. I think that's really kind of an underrated one. That's a guy in the past has been really good at zone entries that lead to chances. For a defenseman, that's not something that a lot of defensemen have. So also Malinsky, love it. Yeah, this is a guy. He's getting his flowers from guys like Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon as well, talking about how well this guy's playing and moving the puck. So I think that you could do a lot worse than Malinsky.
All right, let's move over to the net. We've got John Gibson here. I think we're close to getting full on 2 out of every 3 stars John Gibson for the rest of the season. So last call on him probably here. Joel Hofer is the only guy who can win a game for the St. Louis Blues currently. Not Jordan Binnington, who may still be the starter for Canada in the Olympics, which is
What are we
terrifying.
doing? Yep.
Levi Marilainen over in Ottawa. As long as Allmark is out, it's going to be Marilainen getting the majority of the starts. I don't know if that's going to go well, but it's at
Mm.
least noteworthy. If you need some volume, Marilainen is there. You shouted out UPL. I like the shout out. I think UPL, like his last 3 games, he's only allowed 1 goal in each. He's been really, really good. And so I do think he's at least a 50-50 starter with Ellis while Lyon is out. The problem is when Lyon comes back, what's going to happen? I don't think anybody truly knows what's going to happen there in Buffalo with that. But either way, UBL at the moment, I think, is a good one. Jake Allen outplaying Jacob Markstrom right now in New Jersey. So that's a name to remember as well. The Vegas tandem, one of these guys, if they ever get hot, could be worth rostering. But both of them are kind of actively pooping in their big boy pants right now. So that's a problem. Montreal tandem, yeah, will somebody please stand up? Theoretically, Montreal should be a good team, and one of these goalies should do something at one point. But
Monty
hey,
got a win the other night. We love
Monty
this.
did get a win, and maybe he is totally on track at this point. We'll see maybe over the weekend here if he can start to string some stuff together. Pittsburgh tandem, you got Skinner and Shilovs there. I don't know that you're excited about either of that. They're probably going to just run 50-50 and say you're not even getting true volume. But another tandem to note. Sub 25% rostered, you got Hofer still there at 24%. Maralainen, Luukkonen, and Philip Grubauer, we have to shout out. Grubauer has just basically roundly outplayed Joey Decord over the last, season, basically, at this point. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Joey Decord did win this game here, but allowed 3 goals on only 23 shots. Whereas Grubauer has been unbelievable. Like, Decord has a 903 save percentage. You might think that's not too bad on a team like the Kraken, who we all know, like, they're still, like, puttering around a playoff spot, but nobody is scared of going into Seattle to play the Kraken currently. But if you go take a look at Philip Grubauer's numbers, I don't think anybody would suspect that he has a 920 save percentage in 10 starts this season. Each of his last 3 starts, only 1 goal against, 41 shots against, 32 shots against, 25 shots against. He is absolutely the reason why Seattle won these games as well. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
I love it, buddy. Grubauer, shout out to Kevin Woodley with the insane
Absolutely.
call that I think is absolutely reasonable now. This guy, Philip Grubauer, is 9th overall in goals saved above expected in the league. That is a really good metric to determine who's outperforming their environment, and Grubauer is right there. So shout out to him. I think you could get him on your squad when he starts. It's awesome stuff.
All right, let's keep going. Let's get into the head-to-head streamer deathmatch. You, at this point in time, I believe, are leading with Matt Zuccarello. He has played 3 of his 4 games for this week. Jackson Blake has played 3 of his 5 games for this week, so I still got an extra game there, but Zuccarello did pick up an assist here tonight. So you're a little bit ahead after tonight's results, but no fear, Jackson Blake gonna drop a couple of goals here over the weekend, and all will be right, and I will win once again. I am inevitable.
No, he's going to drop a turd right in your boot. All right, that's what's happening.
All right. Who you got for this week, Blake? We got to make a call.
You bet, buddy. I'm going to go with new Columbus Blue Jacket, Mason Marchment for the 4 games. I love the ice time, and he's actually on Power Play 1 right now, too. So I think you could do a lot worse.
Definitely. For myself, I'm going to go with Luke Evangelista. I've been singing this man's praises for months at this point, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm sure he will not let me down. All right. Well, if you made it this far, you should probably go to the description and click the link there to join the Discord community. Over 2,000 fantasy managers talking about fantasy hockey all the time. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, anything you can do along those lines really does help us out. That is going to be all that we've got for this episode. So hopefully it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick and 18 Skaters. Many thanks to Matt Creamer for supplying the music for the podcast. That's it, folks. Much love.